A humorous speech should be like an onion. It should make your audience cry. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Humor is all about the onion's famous layers. Great humor has multiple layers within its structure. If you stay at just the first level, a superficial level of humor, you're not going to get that same quality and depth and ultimately the reaction that you're looking for from your audience. In order to succeed at the humorous speech contest, you need to learn the art of the layer. And what I'm going to do in this workshop is show you how you can structure these layers and give you some ideas on some of the comedic techniques that you can slot in to create this depth and ultimately go on and create your own funny onion. I'm going to illustrate this with an example. I'm going to go through it layer by layer. Layer one, I'm beginning with a story. And beginning with a story or an observation is quite a good bedrock to form your humor on. And in terms of the humorous speech, this is normally the structure that you see. My example, I'm sitting on the train in Glasgow. I'm traveling to the Pollock Shores West train station. I hear the conductor over the tannoy announce, next station is Pollock Shields West. I look up at the screen to confirm the reality. I'm on the wrong train. There we have it. Simple anecdote from my life about a mildly confusing mix-up about getting on the wrong train. That's layer one. But let's see if we can start to add some layers into this story. I'm going to come in at layer two and use the comedic technique of the comparison. Comparison is where you make a ridiculous or exaggerated comparison between one set of circumstances and another set of circumstances. In this example, what I'm going for, getting mixed up between Pollock Shores West and Pollock Shields West is like getting mixed up about which side of the West Bank you're on. And there we have it. Hugely exaggerated. I'm comparing my benign mix-up of train stations to one of the most charged political situations in the world. That's the type of exaggeration that I'm talking about. And you see how that's added an extra layer to the story. There's a little bit more detail starting to come in. And we're going to keep on going. Layer three, I'm going to introduce a prop. A prop or a visual aid can communicate a message that sometimes your words can't. There's often more context and meaning in the object compared to what you say. I've got a simple example for you here. My mistake in train stations had cost me 30 minutes. I was going to have to walk 30 minutes from Pollock Shields West to Pollock Shores West. So there we have a little bit more context of my dilemma, and there's a little bit more humor at my expense starting to come in. There we go, 3 layers, but let's see if we can add in another layer. The fourth comedic technique I'm going to use here is the reveal. The reveal is where you disclose some information that you've previously withheld. And this creates some extra context and meaning for the audience that they didn't have before based on what you were describing to them. My reveal here. And this is why I was late for my first ever workshop as a speaker. And there we have it. Each of those layers coming in. So let me just run this through as a completed version, like the Blue Peter here's one I made earlier. I was on the train in Glasgow, traveling to Pollock Shores West. Over the tannoy, I hear the conductor say, next station is Pollock Shields West. Mixing up Pollock Shores West and Pollock Shields West is like mixing up which side of the West Bank you're on. My mistake had cost me 30 minutes. I was now going to have to walk 30 minutes from Pollux Shields West to Pollux Shores West. And that's how I was late for my first ever workshop as a speaker. And what you can see there is that none of those layers by themselves were particularly funny. And to be honest, the whole thing doesn't really have you rolling off your seats laughing, does it? But remember that this is one anecdote as part of a larger speech. I can continue to develop this story and develop some more of these themes that I've been starting to bring up. And that's what you want to be doing in any humorous speech. If you can drop down those layers and get multiple layers feeding out through your speeches, that's where that depth and quality of humor going to start to come through. I would say that if you're not getting to 3 layers of humor, you're not going to be winning those humorous speech contests. Certainly not by the time you get to the national and international levels, because your speech just isn't going to stand out from what the rest of the competition are doing. The little throwaway lines and gimmicks that they're doing, you need to go deeper than that. Having that depth and quality is going to make you stand out in these contests. Now, remember that we're coming to contest season very soon. For the Toastmasters in the audience, you'll know that the club contests for the humorous speech are starting in September. So you're probably going to be composing these humorous speeches in the next month or so. And when you do, remember the onion as inspiration. Not to make your audience cry, but to give them those layers. The more layers you have in your humor, the funnier you're going to be. And the funnier you are, the more likely you are to win.